Welcome to the 1 hour later edition of SureFire Live. Thank you for joining me tonight. Hope you guys are having a good week. I am having a good week. Today was a super fun day. I'm in my Ashbuster stuff, and we just finished filming some really cool video for. You'll see it. It'll probably take 30 days or so to edit and change it, but it's really should be fun, pretty cool, innovative video for the chimney company, and actually it kind of ties several of the businesses together. So hopefully it'll be a good thing. And actually a lot of the people who are in the SureFire Accelerator group, actually Chad's one of them. I leave on Thursday for Punta Cana for our mastermind group there. We have a once a year get together. And if you have interest in that, we may have some openings, and we also may start another group. But if you have interest in our mastermind group, reach out to Breed, BRIED at surefire.online. And I'm sorry, surefire.academy. I'll put her thing in there, but she helps organize that, and should be a lot of fun. So with that being said, my friend Chad Murray wrote a new book, and he has put it out. And so far I've seen great people are excited. People want a new book, which is great. I can't remember a time when people are like, oh yeah, write another book. We're excited. And I saw him put it out there and had good stuff. So I asked him to be a guest tonight. He said, I thought you would never ask. So we brought him on. So let me bring him on. Hey, buddy.
Hello, everybody. Hey, Mark.
How are you tonight?
That's been crazy at the house. We got internet people here, and someone just knocked on the door. So who knows? But life is good, business is well, and I don't know if you've heard, like you just said, but I got a new book.
Yeah, man. So Operation Entrepreneurial Freedom.
Yep.
It is on Amazon. Is that the main place it's available?
It's the only place right now.
Right. It's the only place right now. It's the same with mine. I had it in bookstores, but that's a different deal. Amazon's better for us.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you said you're getting ready to do the Audible for it, I think, the audio version.
Yeah, do that in May. And so it should be out by June by the time it's all edited and all that. So yeah, good. I'm excited. So I was going to go to Nashville and use the guy that you use, but I had a local one. Yeah. Don't need to fly out there, so they were pretty good. So yeah,
a lot of that music now and audio stuff, it's so computer generated. A lot of these top things are in people's houses now, so yeah. It's a very Music Row in Nashville used to be something, and there's a lot of talent there, but you can do a lot of good stuff almost anywhere. So let's talk about it, man. Why'd you write a book, and tell us about what is the inspiration and why'd you do it?
Well, so about 7 years ago, everyone knows I left operations. If you don't know, I left operations from Masters in 2014. Now, still a little bit more involved at that time, but I mean, nothing pretty close to what I am now, though. I mean, I didn't go into the day-to-day. I did talk to the managers a little bit more at that time and more involved with meetings at that time. So as soon as I started having some free time, I mean, literally within the first month of being gone, I decided to start recording my story. Right. How did I get to where I was and all that kind of stuff. And so I just started literally every little experience that would happen, or even in the present day and what I could remember, all of that. And that would just literally, I had about 12 hours worth of tape. And
so you're vocally recording them. You just
I can't write. Yeah, hold on one second. Can you close my door? I'm sorry.
Well, while we're doing that, we have early riser Bart Ogden says, "Freedom." Oh, he's got to take care of that. Bart, love that. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, so I had 12 hours where I would just record, and at the time I had it on some digital file, and then when I discovered Google Drive, I transferred over to Google Drive so it would never get lost. And I probably lost about 2 or 3 hours at one time. I'm like, I got to re-record those. I knew what I had recorded already. So I did that. And as I was progressing, through time and getting to the point where I put a goal. When we hit over $4 million is when I'm going to start looking at publishing. And of course, we did that last year. And so almost 4.5. And so I went, okay, let's do it. So I called Bebo, and Darren was instrumental and said, hey, I got my ghostwriter. You want his number? And I said, absolutely. Which is great about this guy. His name is Robert Conglin, and he used to be a chimney sweep.
Yeah. Oh, he did?
Yeah. He was upstate New York. He had a little fireplace shop and did chimney cleaning and stuff. So he knew the industry.
Oh, wow.
And so yeah, it was really cool. And so we started talking for 2 hours every week for 6 months. So I gave him my recordings. He listened to them all. He would listen. Well, he listened to probably 3 or 4 hours in the first month or so every week. And then he'd talk to me for 2 hours, make his notes, start writing. And at first, he would write and I'd be like, doesn't sound like me. We had to find my voice through him. Right. And so, like, for instance, he started going on a car theme, wrenches and screwdrivers and all that kind of stuff. And if you know me, I don't fix cars. I will buy
cars. That's it.
If I have to oil change a car, I buy a new one because I do not like cars. New tires, new car. And so that's how I live. So
So a couple early things. Bardog says freedom. It says hello, Mark and Chad, and it says what up, guy? Excited to listen in. So we got some good early people. So we got a good crowd building. So here's two good guys right there. Read Mark's books 3 times. Thank you, and it totally changed the trajectory of my business. Now I'm halfway through Chad's book. Good stuff, guys. Hey, thank you so much. That's to us, the people who write stuff, that's all we hope that will happen, right? Like you put it out there, you're going to be criticized. I mean, all you got to do to beat yourself up is go on Amazon and read some of your shitty reviews from people who don't like your books. Like, this one guy, mine is my life story. And one guy, like, it's a bunch of fluff. That was the criticism. I'm like, bunch of fluff, dude. What do you want? It's my life. I'm like, so
I live that fluff.
I'm sorry, your life was mine was so easy compared to yours. I mean, so anyway, then hi guys, and then hello from Louisville. So thank you guys so much. So, Chad, so you decided to write it. You talked to a couple people who've done it before, got a game plan, got a ghostwriter. And all he's trying to do is listen to you and find your voice and kind of craft the message in a way. Do you think, so when you were making these notes, were you telling the audio stories of what just happened, or were you trying to actually have a full thought that you were trying to record in your audio?
No, well, in the audio, when I first started, it was just I was just talking into the microphone and just completely for 12 hours, randomly all the time. I mean, some stories were like a minute and I would just, hey, this happened to me today, blah, 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 right? And sometimes I'd have a detailed 5, 10, 30-minute talk into a microphone that would be digitally put on, whatever file I had at the time.
Wow.
And so I just kept doing that for literally 6 years.
Wow.
And 7 years, really. And so
let me ask you this. Did you know you were going to put this in a book, or were you just making notes just to make
100% book? No, I always knew it was a book. So you asked me earlier why, did I knew I was going to write a book and why did I write it? Well, at the time I wrote it, I wanted to write a book, not so much. I just wanted to write a book. I really wasn't in the mindset of helping anybody yet. I was still very much in the need of helping myself at that time, but I knew I had an interesting, kind of upbringing and I always being a poor kid. I mean, my family doesn't like much me saying this all the time, but it's the fact I'm a poor kid from a divorced parents that grew up in a trailer court in Wisconsin that spent my summers in Texas with my dad. That's a very unique childhood, and so, and even more unique, my brother, he just at a wedding like 3 years ago, right before COVID, and I maybe not even that long ago, I had even put it on a podcast or something out there that we're old poor. And there's new poor and there's old poor. And I go, what does that mean? And he goes, old poor is poor. We were poor.
Right.
We lived in a trailer court. Now, mom did have enough money to buy groceries, and we had shoes, one pair of shoes every year. But new poor is you have an iPhone, you have internet. You know what I mean? He goes, we were old poor.
Wow. Larry Wingate, who's a mentor of mine, he says, we weren't dirt poor, but we were dusty.
Yeah. Well, we were very dusty too. My mom, who I dedicated, she's my mother and my wife, I dedicated the book to, totally worked 2 jobs. And she didn't work a second job until my brother was old enough that he could be home alone. So she committed to us boys, me and her, or me and my brother, the whole time. And it was what it was. We had help from my grandfather at times, which he starts off in the book, in the prologue, a little bit about him and my other grandfather. And so, I mean, I just, I was always an entrepreneur. I was always the consummate salesman, always. And learning that through my life was just part of what when I talk about in the book. I mean, I literally, as soon as my parents got divorced, it's one of the first chapters, I found out how to shovel snow. And I started up a little snow shoveling business. And I learned, and I talk about it in the book. And what's nice about my book, when I did want to start writing it, and I thought about this, I wanted the end of most chapters, because not all chapters, but most chapters, to have a toolbox takeaway that really relates to real business.
Right.
You know, even a 7-year-old kid, what I was doing could be relatable to anyone's business today. And so the stuff I would learn, I wrote that in the book at the end of most chapters. That, you know, this is what I want you to take away from this story, you know, to relate it to you. And so I really, you know, to fast forward to when we're actually going to write the book, now I'm a business coach, you know, I'm retired from masters and helping all that. Now I'm in a totally different mindset when I started the idea of a book, right? Because now I really do want to help people.
Right.
And so hence, I mean, I've had like 10 people say, why are you selling your book so cheap? I said, well, I don't care. But I'm not making any money off this book. It's not the intention of the book by any means. And so that's why. I mean, I don't care if I make $1 or $5, big deal. Even if, you know, it's just not that part of it. It's what can I do to really help people to relate with my story. And if they call me and want to work with me, great. If they don't, it's still great. It still hopefully helps enough people. And that's, I wasn't like that back, you know, in 2014. I am now. And so, and I wish more people could understand that. So. Sure.
So what does operational freedom mean to you? Like, what is it? Why did you name it that? And what is the goal?
Well, as my buddy, you helped me with this. Because we were going to name it, because it's my thing, is what I've always told people and lived with my business was just go get yourself in trouble. Whenever you get in what that meant and means, and if you've been coached by me or if I've ever helped you with your business, I've always, even before I knew the chimney industry would help you get out of control if you got it, but even before that, I always knew you could fight through it and figure it out no matter what. So no matter what you're going to do, you'll do it. And even as bad as it may seem, you'll get out of it and you'll do it again and you'll grow from that. And so I always just would tell people, you know, oh, I'm scared to do that. Or, you know, hear that all the time. And I was like, well, just go get yourself in trouble. Just do it.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's what I was going to name the book. And some guy named Mark Stoner said, that's not a good name for the book. and at first, you know, I kind of knew it, you know, I knew it was a good subheading. You know, but I was kind of blocked on that because I've literally gone 7 years thinking that's the name of my book, right? And then you brought it out. Said, yeah, it's probably not best. It's not the best name. So I started thinking and me and you, if we showed everybody, we got a mile long of text of names and we were playing and having fun with it. And I don't honestly remember. That just came to me. It just, you know, Operation Entrepreneur Freedom. It's gonna really say what the purpose of why you'd read this book is gonna happen when you get done reading it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that hit us.
You know, I think that is what good friends do, right? Like you could say, I'm going to go with it. And I say, no problem. But if you're asking me for my opinion, and this is for anybody, when you're really trying to help somebody, it doesn't hurt their feelings. Like if I bounce something off Chad and he says it's good or bad, that's what I want to hear from him. Even if it's maybe not what I want to hear, I need to hear why he thinks that and help me come to that. And, you know, we were just bouncing around ideas. And I said, well, I think it's more of a mindset, but, you know, let's work on that title for a little bit. And if we come back to it, we come back to it. But So yeah, it was a fun process, and I appreciate you asking me, to, just some ideas. You took it. I was just kind of throwing up some ideas, but so in that freedom part of it, how, like, when somebody reads this book, what are the big takeaways they're going to get from it?
Well, you're going to see how I started a chimney business, did a lot of accidentally stuff right, and then obviously did just a ton wrong. But you'll see my progression from literally starting from just the idea of owning a chimney company to being able to hire people and then train them into management and then walk away. I mean, it's pretty scary at $2.1 million, maybe 2.3, I don't remember exactly. But right there, it maybe that wasn't even the best time to do it. I don't know, but I did it. And
So
I've never had financial problems.
let's unpack that for a second. Why did you want to move away from it? Because there's a lot of people that think that. They think, I want to get away, and then they don't get away. Like, what made you make that big leap? That's a huge leap. Why did you make that leap?
So let's define entrepreneur, which I do in the book right away. Business owner and entrepreneur, two separate, complete things. An entrepreneur is someone who invested in maybe part of the business, but his intention of it being an asset and walking away from the operations of
Right.
the business.
That's right.
And that was my mindset since I was a kid. Before I even knew about business, I knew I wanted to own businesses, not business. So when I started and I got out of the Marine Corps, Army, then the Marine Corps for a little small stint, I knew whatever I'm going to do, and I had no idea what that was going to be, that I was going to grow it and walk away and just help out and then start something else. I knew that.
Right.
So in 2014, when I did it, I never even looked back. It was all balls out. You guys are going to run the show, and I'm going to let you fail. And then until you are putting me in bankruptcy, I'm not coming back.
That's hard. Most people cannot do that.
I knew I was going to do it the day I swept my first chimney.
I heard something that goes along the lines of what you just said, which was, a lot of people, there's a difference between entrepreneur and like a business owner, because most business owners, like in chimney or any business, really don't own a lot of business. They own one business, and people call them entrepreneurs. But by the definition, that's really not what entrepreneur is. That's a starter. That's a business starter. They started a business. It's not an entrepreneur where you have multiple businesses, multiple things going, and you run into true entrepreneurs, and it's a different mindset. Now, I'm kind of in between. I start and hold. I start a lot of business, but I don't sell them very often. I mean, every once in a while, but there's a lot of people that build it to a certain level and they can't wait to hand it off. The hard thing is that when it's your baby. So you're handing your baby to these other guys. You start from nothing. You hand it to these other people. That's the move that almost people, not only that, they can't even hire somebody and let them do other work, let alone hand the business off. What was that like?
I'm not a guy that looks back. When I say that, and I don't mean that to tell the story. What I mean, when I did it, that was my decision.
You're just going.
Just hey, we're putting gas in this.
Time to do it.
I'm putting gas in it, and you're gonna drive this baby. I'm done.
Was it because you wanted to do something else, or it was just time to hand that off and it open? Like, did you have a thing you were going to, or you're like, I need more time to find a thing?
50-50. I gotta say, what I don't tell in the book and what I don't tell a lot of people, I was slightly burned out because I was the 7-day-a-week guy. I was the internet guy, the marketing guy. I wasn't in the field anymore. So I had all that. But I mean, and kind of like what happened to me last, which everybody knows about my stress. If you don't know about my anxiety I had last summer, got brought on to about whatever. And I went to that same point where back when I was younger, I could handle it mentally. And when I tried to do that again with my new marketing company, learning that, Masters doing what it was doing, us starting up our little software company, it just put me in a bad place. I couldn't handle it like I could, 20 years ago. And so, or even 10 years ago. So when I was walking away in 2014, I was a little burned out. Not terribly, but I was a little bit ready to say, I get to breathe a little bit right now. That's when I bought my property and started, building the cabin, had my hobby. But I was within 6 months. A lot of people probably don't know this. I started a little t-shirt, me and Kristen went out to Vegas for the big t-shirt convention, all the big, the big printer stuff, where there's like printers that are like the size of a house in there. We went to the big Vegas show to try to find us a little t-shirt printer.
And you bought one?
We made a vacation out of it, right? And I bought one, and I started just having fun with making stupid t-shirts and had some fun. And then all of a sudden it came down to, wait a minute, now I have to work. Because now I sold a couple big jobs. I'm like, I don't want to do the work. This sucks.
I always thought if I wanted an easy business, I'd just sell ice cream like at the beach. And that sounds easy until you have to dig ice cream all day long and you're sick, until it becomes a job,
Yeah, and probably wake up at 6 and go get the ice cream.
Yeah.
There's a job. It's no fun.
It's still a job. So we got a couple comments real quick. Fellow Cheesehead grew up the same. This is on your earlier conversation. I wish I'd started recording from my career. Good for you, Chad. So somebody, just that thought process of recording. Two good guys right here. And then Diane says, I now have a term for how I grew up, old poor. I kind of like it now that I don't live it. Yeah, right. Exactly. Next. We have a lawn company, tree service, plumbing company, urban. I know. Gwen, this is urban canopy tent company, and we added a food truck this week. This guy's an entrepreneur. You guys have gave me great intel. The number one thing I'm struggling with is hiring people. Help me out with that. So let's get back to that. Let's keep talking about your book, and then let's get that at the end. And then we had another good evening, gentlemen. So we'll get back to you on that hiring people, because that's a tough one. Oh, you got it in the book. Is that a certain chapter?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to try to find making the most of the systems. Good culture makes sense. Sense both the way. I put sense as in coins, and then sense with the SE in there. Stop the hiring hamster wheel.
Nice.
Chapter
What chapter?
23. Chapter 23.
I'm going to put it in here. Chapter 23. And chapter
help is not a dirty word.
Right.
That's chapter 22. So
right. So
the one that you love, I'll say this before you say that. The one you love, chapter 21. Winners shouldn't always go to Disney.
So you get into this book writing. You want to now give a message of you pull back from the company. And do you feel free now, or is this something you're working for?
Good question. Do we ever really feel free? I mean, I don't. It's funny. So I had a buddy of mine, one of my best friends I grew up with, Corey, not in the chimney industry. He's one of the instrumental guys that helped me. I brought him down from Wisconsin. He did work for a few years in my chimney company to help me launch it off. And then he stayed in town. He actually doesn't live very few miles from me. I grew up with this kid. His older brother I'm close to him. So he's at the cabin with me. They come down once a year hunting. And he was at the cabin with me 2 years ago. And he works for the city, and he has a bunch of problems. And at the time, a couple of years ago, we had a bad year in 2020 for the COVID. So this is right after that. And I was telling him, hey man, I said, my life, it's not that great right now. Our business got crushed by COVID, and here I am coaching all these guys. At the time I was coaching like 30 chimney companies. All 30 chimney companies probably had 20 to 50% sales growth and profit. And here I am coaching them, and I'm getting my ass kicked, in Texas here. And we did. And I had a bad week, I think, before preparing to go up there. So he's telling me about his emotional thing. And I'm telling him, I said, dude, and he actually started tearing up a little bit. And he's not a tear up kind of guy. And I started tearing up with him. I said, dude, my life right now is not that great. I'll fix it and we'll move past this. But I feel you. And he goes, yeah, but you make so much money. You're so successful. And I'm like, yeah, but you know what? Success comes with the weight still goes in proportionate to where you are. I don't care if you're one truck company or a 20 truck company. You still have proportionate bills. You still have this. You still have that. You can crash much faster big like we are.
Yeah.
So Yeah. I mean, so no, I don't feel as comfortable. I am way more financially. I don't worry about paying the bills at all anymore. It's different kind of stuff. You know, back when we started, you did.
I think what freedom probably means to you and me is we have options. Like to me, that's really what this, it's not like we're free just to do anything, but we have freedom in the sense that we've built businesses that give us options to do things. And I think that's probably what I always like about being an entrepreneur. There's a super high stress, but there's also an options that as you get better at it, as you stop getting your ass kicked, there's more options with vacations and houses and time and charities and things that you can donate your time to. It's like when you don't put in the hard work early and hard and smart and, you know, intelligently, you have less options. And I don't like that. I like more options. I mean, would you?
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story. So when I was getting sued from my one employee for overtime in 2018, our company and everybody, there was a black cloud. It was a collective action lawsuit where anyone could pile on.
Oh God.
Nobody did. So you're talking about 40 employees at the time that were told you're going to get 3x the money that are owed, and probably more than that because he can't prove it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was big. So when I tell people you better get your stuff with the FLSA or correct, you better, because if they find you and someone of your employees does it, you're gonna be in a world of hurt. So anyway, this black cloud's over me, right? This black cloud's over me, and I got the best lawyer. Matter of fact, talked to her today from my mother-in-law who died last week. She's gonna do the probate and everything, and it was like she stopped and she knew how to fight back, and it was great. And all was working out well. We had this just tremendous fog over the whole company and everything. Yeah. And I had a meeting one night. I brought everybody management-wise over to my house. There was like 6 of us. And I said, we're going to burn this down. Who cares? We all do that. I'm going to do this, sales, and you're going to do that. And we'll start over if this is where it takes us. Because at the time, we didn't know if 20 people were going to pile on. So we're like, okay, here's our game plan. And I was ready. I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to sales. You know, you make caps. My mom and my wife, you answer the phones. Brian and John, your production. That's our company. That was it. Right. I took solitude in the fact, and I knew if that was going to happen, like if 20 people piled on and it's a $10 million lawsuit, bankruptcy's coming, and we'll start over. Right. And so that was but my solitude was this. What I know now is not what I knew when I started my chimney company. And I know now if I were to burn it down back then, that I know I could probably get right where I am pretty quick.
That's right.
Again, I had no worry. I had no fear that I could do it again and much faster and a lot less pain-free, you know, and there was actually a little bit of fun to it because I'm like, I don't have all the bills I'm going to have. I know better now how to get rid of some of these bills that I didn't have. You know, that had, you know, mistakes you had made with buying too many trucks, whatever. Yeah. And so I was okay with that. So I tell a lot of people if you're fearful of losing everything, if you've ever been old, poor like me, so what? What you know now is you may hit rock bottom, and it might be a rough year. Guarantee a week 2 or year 2, you're in a better spot.
Yeah. And, you know, that's very important that you have that self-confidence. It's almost like an internal thing that it also helps you push the edge of things because you know what it takes to rebuild it. Once you've rebuilt it a couple times, you know how to get back to where you are. And I know several people that have actually crashed, and they can get back. You know, the hardest thing ever is to make your first million. The second easiest thing to do is make your second million because you know how to do it. And, you know, it took me 17 years to get past $1 million. And then once we did it and I crashed it at 1.1 million, I knew how to get right back there and go on and on and on because I fixed it. But the hardest thing was to learn those lessons and get those things in. And now there's a lot of help that people have, but you're right. You know, it's almost, you know, I wrestled most of my life and I think you wrestled too, right? Like, yeah. And so I have this internal confidence that if I get in a situation, I can kind of handle myself. I'm not going to say I'm going to beat you up, but I can take you down, or I can get away from you, or I could put you in pain.
Yep.
I don't think I could box you, but I know I could handle myself in that way. And I think business, you have that muscle that you can take care of yourself. You know what to do. And as long as you have your health, you got all you need, you know?
So I'll share one story in the book, which is kind of funny. It's as we talked about wrestling. You have some questions, some comments?
Well, protect the goose, because that one day it lays the golden eggs. It's absolutely a fact. Get that goose fat and happy. Don't take the eggs too early either. If you take the eggs too early, she never lays a lot. Get her fat and then start taking eggs. But yeah, what were you going to say?
So I was a varsity wrestler in 10th grade, and I wrestled off 9th grade all the time, never quite made the varsity. So I made it in 10th grade. And this was Wisconsin, and La Crosse, Wisconsin is right on the border of the Mississippi, where Minnesota is right. I mean, literally looking out my bedroom window we live in the bluffs there. I could see Minnesota. And so we did wrestle a couple schools, because even though they were in a different district, we all intermingled because it was close. And so I didn't even have to wrestle off. I was good enough to beat everybody. I think I may have wrestled off the first time. That was it for the rest of the year. So my first match was the Minnesota State champion, senior. Definitely well more developed muscle-wise than I was. Definitely. And I had wrestled him before back in like middle school, or like I was in 5th grade and he was like in 8th, and honestly, I think I messed with him pretty good, remembering who he was, but I mean, it was so long ago, I didn't even really remember. So I wasn't scared, but I absolutely walked out there and fished out, and he had me on my back in 32 seconds. So this is where I relate it back to business. This is where I get my fight in me. This was the day that I got my fight, to where I'm that little guy that'll I don't care if Andre the Giant, or I don't care what guy who could kick my ass. I will fight him till I'm dead. I have that in me. I will fight dirty. I want because of what's about to transpire. But I'll tell you what happened with me. So the team did not support me. They thought it was funny, and they taped me up to the wall. Yep. And I will tell you, it wasn't as humiliating as it was. I wanted to murder everybody. I was so mad at my own team to not supporting me, and by the way, that night, our heavyweight, who was one of the guys helping to pin me or get up, got pinned too. He was a senior, but he was there picking on me, right? So this whole team bullied me and stuck me to the wall, and the coach comes. And he just goes, "Oh shit, really?" And him and the coaches, are yelling at everybody to take me down. And one of the coaches goes, "You better tell him," because they could see me. I have my mouth taped and everything. They could see that I was livid, man. And he goes,
God,
"We need to hold him back, because I have a feeling." They called me Murray, not Chad. Murray is gonna kick some ass right now, and we're gonna have to. The coaches, and I did. I came off that wall, swinging, kicking, grabbing balls. I was doing everything I could to hurt somebody, and the coaches literally dragged me out of the room, because you could not console me.
Wow.
And they got me out, and they all, I mean, they understood. So they weren't like they weren't putting hate on me. They understood it. They got me. I have goosebumps. They got me back out in the hallway, calmed me down. And I was just sitting there huffing and puffing. They calmed me down. They said, "That will never happen again on this team. I promise." I was a transfer from the Catholic school over. So I was like the new kid too. So.
Oh my God.
Yes. So the assistant coach, actually, not the head coach, goes, "I guess it's probably the best time to tell you right now." This was Friday morning. We wrestled Thursday night. That was the varsity matches, and Saturday was the tournament. You drew the guy that just kicked your ass last night. First match tomorrow. And I looked at him. I go, "I'm gonna fucking kill." Sorry, I'm gonna kill him. And I said the F word. This is exactly what I said. I'm gonna kill him. And I said, "I'm going home right now. I'll see you tomorrow morning." And I left. The next morning, the match, I had him on his back in 32 seconds. I did not pin him. but I had him on his back in 32 seconds. This is not, I'm telling you a little bit more that's in the book. I wrestled him the whole 6 minutes and he won by a point.
Wow.
And when we were done, him and his coach came up and shook my hand, my coach's hand, and said, you got a fighter here. He's got a future here in wrestling.
Oh, that's a great story.
I lost my next match to some bozo.
Man, you gave it all you had when you had it.
I was totally beat.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm telling you, I would relate that to my business. Every time I get knocked down, I kick, scream, grab just everything I can to make it right. And I do that for anyone with me. And so
that's awesome.
That's just who I am. And I think a lot of people will take it sometimes as arrogance, or they don't know me and they think this. It's like, man, if you got to know me and we're on each other's side, you have no idea the asset I could be for you.
Yeah.
You know, I will do anything for you, you know, it within reason, you know what I mean? I will do it. And so I'm that guy. And so,
you know, today you'd own that school. I mean, today with the lawsuits, it'd be named Chad Murray High School. Wow, man, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's a good story, though, man. That's interesting how just that grit will get you through a lot, even if your skills aren't totally there. Just my daughter just boxed that boxing match, and she's never played sports, but she has grit and determination. And halfway through that fight, she knew she was beat, but she's not quitting. She is not going to put her hands out. She's not quitting. And I that's a true entrepreneurial skill or trait, I should say, that we have, that you're not going to keep us down. We will get knocked down for sure. We're willing to get knocked down because we have to see where that edge is, right? Yeah. But we're coming back, man. And I that's great, dude. That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. And then here's another one. This goes right along with it. If you're not failing, you're not trying. You have to lose to learn.
Yeah.
So talk about your big in business. Do you have any fears, or what's been your, like, the thing that was harder than you thought in business while you're trying to build it?
Relying on one person, or over relying on someone. And it was more of a fear that I kept away from the company. I never really feared that I didn't care. To this day, if I lost Cody or if I lost John, I don't want to lose them. That's not what I'm saying here.
Of course.
But if they go away, okay, good luck. See you, whatever. I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. My company will figure it out. And I think that my company, after my absence, has relied on a few too many people a little too hard. And like John was never my general manager. He's not afraid to fire people. He's not. But I think he would over rely on some people, and maybe, you know, and stuff like that. And I think that gets you into such a box. You get put in a corner more. Yeah. And I was never put in a corner for reasons that you are, from that one story alone. I would never allowed myself to get there. And so I think a lot of entrepreneurs, especially when I start coaching people and I talk to people, they're in a corner. Like, I can't lose that guy. I'm like, yeah, you can. We can fire him tonight. Yeah, we can.
And that is, when you haven't gone through that, that's one of the hardest things, because, you know, entrepreneur or business owners, you put a lot into your people. And if you have a heart at all, you give them everything. You sometimes give them more than you give yourself. And then you build up this need for them, and you may be misjudging the relationship. Like, you find out really hard when they will leave over something that you're thinking, I would never fire. Like, they don't have necessarily the same, like, tie that you think they do. And you know, it's very hard to learn, but the truth is, everybody needs to understand that while you don't want to lose anybody, you need to be able to lose people and be okay. That's a healthier business. Yeah. And even to the point of the owner, like for me, we're going through traction, and we're doing our level 10 meetings without me, because I'm trying to build that next level of people that, because I do a lot of stuff that could kill me, and I understand that I don't want to die, but I'm doing things that are dangerous, it's in my purview, and it's in my stewardship to make sure that what I've put in place will continue on if something doesn't go right on one of my adventures.
Yeah.
And, and that's what you're doing too. You're setting them up to win by not being too reliant on the owner or any employees.
Yeah.
So when you learn that lesson, what did it come in the form of? Somebody quitting, somebody, stealing from you,
I never had to
somebody,
learn the part. I never had to learn it. No, I was always that way.
you always,
It,
it's
it
kind of
was
internal.
it was always the my management that was like that. No, I never had to learn it. I was always okay. I will replace you and move on. I mean, and you know what? We never took us anytime we would lose what we call a legacy person or anything like that, which we haven't really done a lot of. But if we did, we wouldn't even. It may be like a month or two of pain, but we bounce back.
You
You know?
almost always get better. Like more often than not, losing them actually made way for something else better to happen. And you could never see it. You would never want it. But when I look back on all the ones that I lost, knowing or not knowing why, or, the reasons, the replacement of them actually was better. I mean, how often was that true for you?
Oh, so I have if anyone wants to talk about, you talk about how you burned your company down, you talk about the despair you're in. I don't tell my story of my despair as well and elegant as you do, and I don't even know if I wrapped it all in one package like I should have done maybe in the book. But at the time I had the lawsuit, this is what was going on in a 3.5 month period. Starting December 30th, I got served with the lawsuit. I found out that my 4 sweep inspectors, educators in Dallas, and my social media girl were planning to start a new company and leave me all at one time. But I caught them before they were doing it. So I'm dealing with a lawsuit. I've got that. And then so you want to talk about, and I'm not going to get all religious here, but I actually, and then all this bad stuff was happening to me, and there might have been a couple small other things that happened. I literally on maybe a Tuesday night, a weekday night, I was praying and I said, okay, God, now's the time to pile on, because I don't want to work through all of this. I actually prayed this to God. I don't want to work through all this and you give me another punch. Give it to me now. I did. The next day, the IRS is in my office. I'm not kidding. I have my whole body just goosebump. I had the IRS. My mom calls me 10 o'clock in the morning. Chad, the IRS is here. I said, okay, what do they want? They want you. I went, what does that mean? She goes, you need to come down here right now. I went, okay. And I just looked. I did. I went, you stinker, you got me. And so I went down there, and it was nothing big, but it was definitely a pile on. And so here I am dealing with all this at one time. I catch those guys. I call them out, and I get them I trick them all to quit instead of firing them. I tricked them all to quit because they're all sales guys. They were all tax exempt, overtime. And I made them. I said, and let me start over here. So the Wednesday morning sales meeting, I called John the night before, and I said, John, I'm going to have these guys clock in and out all the time because we don't really know the law yet. I want to make sure I'm compliant, and we're just going to make them clock in and out. Now, I knew that these guys all had egos. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. These guys all had egos. My computer just went blank. It was timed out. They all had egos. They were not going to do that. And I knew, because I knew what they were doing, they were just going to say, well, we're going to quit. And I'd be like, okay, great. So sure enough, I got ready. Meeting at 7:30. I was ready to already get in my truck and go because I knew he was going to call. 7:32, John calls me. They're all quitting. I said, oh, put me on speaker. Why are you guys quitting? I mean, I just got to track your time to make sure blah, blah, blah. Now, they're using my trucks already. They already started. And I knew this. And so they're like, no, we quit. I said, okay. And they didn't expect me to say, okay. They expect me to fight. I'm like, okay, I'll be there. I live 12 minutes away. I'll be there in 12 minutes. I click. I hung up. I'm driving up there. John goes, they're actually writing it out. I said, good. Make sure they sign their resignations big time. I love it. I get up there and I park, and they come bull rushing me and just just talking to me. They didn't really want to quit, and and I go to John. I go, hey, you have papers? He goes, yeah. I go, get the hell off my property. Get the hell out of here.
Well, if they didn't want to quit, what do they want?
Well, I don't know. I just knew. They knew they were starting a company, and they were already in the middle of. They'd already gotten a lease. They'd already gotten all this. I already found all this stuff out.
Oh wow!
So, but they wanted to still work for me to make sure they wanted me to fund their little new venture, right, with my stuff until that. And I knew this. Yeah. And the stupid thing is the social media girl. I mean, you want to talk about dumb? I'll tell you what dumb is real right here. I walked in the office one night to go check everybody's computer to see what I could find if anyone else was in on it. I touched her mouse. Her personal email comes up, and it's their new logo.
Oh, she left it up on her screen.
I just went like that. I called my lawyer. I said, "Listen, I'm at the office. I see the logo on my computer at my work. Can I copy it? Do it? Can I do it?" She goes, the electronic law right now is so goofy. You really shouldn't do anything. You just know it as knowledge now.
Wow.
Really? That's it? I said, I can't do anything? She said, we probably can. You'll probably get a countersuit, for, privacy and all this kind of stuff, even if it's your computer. She goes, the law is a Wild West right now. This is like 2018, like I said. She says, the Wild West with electronic stuff. So, leave it at that and do what you need to do.
Unfortunately, probably everybody's run business long enough has had somebody do. I had a guy very similar. The stupid thing he did was he was quitting me, but he's trying to rope in other guys to go with him. And he was trying to get my metal fab guy to agree to do metal after he quit. He was trying to take a couple of my best guys and talking to all of them because I had to make a commission change. I had to make a change, and they decided it wasn't fair anymore. So they were going to quit, which is not uncommon. When you have to make a big change in a company, a lot of times you do lose people, but they all told me. So I forced his hand because I at the time hadn't done a non-compete. So what I did was I forced his hand by saying, everybody, we're going to sign a non-compete. And because I wanted anyone to mess around. I didn't want to rat anybody out either that had told me that had come to me in confidence. So I forced a non-compete up, and next thing you know, it flushed him out immediately the next day. And he's like, yeah. And I said, yeah, I know that. And also you're trying to do it. So one of my, now everybody has to sign a non-compete, and you can argue whether you like that or not, but also a non-solicit, which is you can't come after my employees, my customers, any of my stuff either, or I can come after you. So anyway, that's a different topic, but a couple more.
Let me finish that story. So we were talking about the fear. No, it's okay. The fear, and stuff about, your employees and stuff, right? You want to talk about no fear? I just fired my entire staff that sells and inspects, knowing the fact that I have to come out of my own operational retirement. I'm the only one that can do it. So you want to talk about the company, which now still half the staff is still here, even from back then, saw me come out of retirement. And guess what? Those 4 guys, I had probably did 20 to 60% better sales than they did combined.
Wow.
I did that, and I then am hiring more guys, and Cody happened to be one of those guys, and we've been doing it ever since. But I mean, I had no fear to do it and take it into my own hands and run with it. And so that's where I think a lot of people, they're scared of. It's not a lazy feeling. It's just that, golly, I got to go do this again, and it's hard to do that. It is hard to do that, but you got to be in the right mind space to do it. And I think
you have. Yeah, I think you hit it on the head with the mind space where you can outthink and outwork the problem. You can. You're like, I can come up with a solution to this problem. I've done it before. I have confidence in myself and in my network of people, things, processes that I don't have that internal fear that if I lose something, that's the main fear. Is the whole problem with most entrepreneurs and most even employees in general, is that fear that holds you where you are. And a lot of true entrepreneurs just don't have it. Sometimes we need more of it. Sometimes you need somebody going, whoa, 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 there, Mr. High Wire with no net, Diane says they wanted a raise when I said, what do you think they wanted? And then the Facebook user said they wanted you to fold for them and give them what they want. Yeah.
I knew this situation and I knew my guys. So I knew what they wouldn't do. And I knew when I asked them to track to make sure that they were clocking in and out, that they knew the policy was they couldn't use a truck anymore. And so, and I also, part of it also, what you didn't say was also, I said, we're also watching the maps where the trucks are going every day. And when you're supposed to do this and you're doing all this, obviously you're got shenanigans going on. And so they knew they had been, they didn't know that they'd been up. They thought they were getting me. And I honestly think that they were making a play at me to actually try to get a raise and stick around for a little longer, is what I really thought.
Yeah, that's what the consensus is. Yeah. Make more money while they're working with you, push you up so that you can fund their new business and they could steal from you longer. Really.
And I called them out. It was great.
Yeah. So the next question for Diane, this is a good question. Did they ever form another company?
They did. They lasted for like 3 months.
Right.
And then one of them is still in business, and you go to his website, he's doing everything under the sun but chimney stuff. So, I mean, he might clean chimneys in the fall, but that's definitely not his gig.
Yeah. So we got about 9 minutes. Great conversation, man. Thank you so much. One of the things I always enjoy about talking to you is you're super real and transparent about the wins and the losses and how they came to be. And I think that's where people learn a lot. You've been very vulnerable and very open on your podcast and some of the stuff you go through. And I think that's what, people are looking for, that we're all human. We're all not fine all the time. We all go through some hard times. And, ideally, as you get older and smarter, you have less of them to go through. I feel like, but I never know in my brain when my big hit's going to come. And I hope people are there for me if I get hit, because I haven't been hit for a while, but when you're always on the edge, there could be a punch coming. You just don't see it.
Yeah.
And they just come. And so,
you get kind of used to waiting for it, don't you?
Well, I'm not waiting for it, but
anxiety that you kind of have in the back, you're kind of expecting it. And I think that's where it kind of comes down to the wisdom of what you keep learning and getting better. I mean, clearly right now, and since 2018, there's not a chance in hell I'm getting an overtime lawsuit. No way. We're so papered up and having all that right. I mean, they could bring one on. I can guarantee you my lawyer will laugh their lawyer to out of ever making it to court, because we're that good at that. And
that's happened to several chimney companies. What happened to you? That's not that rare. I've heard of it from several companies, that overtime thing and that lawsuit and that class action thing where everybody can pile on. And man, you are fortunate. I'd be nervous as hell if there's a class action and anybody can pile on. Oh my God, that'd be so nerve-wracking.
Oh, it was, I mean, it takes you to a very dark place, because you talk about your baby all the time, right? Well, my baby's about to possibly get murdered, and out of my control. I didn't do it. I mean, even though I did, because I didn't quite know. It was funny with the OT stuff. I would seek out how to pay my people, and what never came up was the answers that I know now. I never could find it right. And I would ask payroll people, ask them. I said, this is our industry. This is what we do. I mean, we're talking about, this was something that I actively tried to get right. And what was crazy about the scenario was I overpaid. So it was funny. So I had to go back 3 years of records. And on the dude that was bringing the lawsuit to me now get this. We could prove it from the truck and his and there was 2 ways I could prove it. I could prove it from his invoices, because the invoices and pictures are timed. And I could prove it from his truck, what time he left, did his jobs, and what time he got back. And I could prove how many hours he actually worked, which his lawyer didn't think we could do that.
Right.
I had them pinned right. I got done. When you talk about people coming, bringing the piles of paperwork, I did that I went through 15 reams of paper, and I printed out everyone's for 3 years. I did everyone that ever worked for me in 3 years. And his in particularly, I could do to the minute what he clocked in and out for. 33 hours of overtime that guy worked for me in 3 years.
30. Wow.
33.
And that was what knocked out a class action lawsuit?
No. He told the lawyer because he just told her, I've worked thousands of hours overtime.
Oh, gotcha.
You have to prove, they can say whatever they want employees wise. They don't have to prove it. It's the burden on the company.
Right. Wow.
But they didn't know what they were up against when they fought me.
Well, this other Facebook user says, I had a guy leave over $700 in taxes. He told me he's not going to pay tax. So I guess he took it out. Wow. I guess so. I don't know if he knows how that's a law for you. You have to take taxes out. Anyway, dude, we've got about 5 minutes. Also, thank you for all the comments. If you got any final questions for Chad, please ask those. Tell me this, Chad, what's next for you? I know you did coaching, you built chimney companies, you built a bunch of other companies. You wrote a book, you do a podcast. What's next? Oh, real quick before you say that, Nick says, this conversation has been fantastic. So many good lessons. I'm reading through the book now and it's great. It flows just like a conversation, wild stories and a lifetime of hard-earned education. Nick Guy. Thank you, Nick. So great. Nick, you're gonna have a bunch of stories yourself. I see you out there playing around, and I see what's happening with Nick Guy. Nick Guy's out there on the edge too. So with that said, what's next for you, Chad?
Well, thanks for asking. Thanks for having me on. We've been a little hesitant, but me and you have a software company that hopefully will be launching this summer, or at least beta version. Hopefully we'll be ready for companies. There's that. And my marketing company is it's already my daughters. I have 2 daughters. One's a partner and one works for me. It's the fastest start I've ever had. It is what we've been doing for people has been amazing. It's been great. I just sell and do customer service. And so I can turn off ads, turn it on. If I don't want to, like this week, because of what happened, with my mother-in-law, I turned the ads off. I'm not working for it. I'll turn the ads on next week. It's great. And then me and you and my brother will start the venture of helping people out on their CMM estimating thing. That's my future right now that I'm looking forward to.
So talk about your marketing company real quick. Do you do it with chimney companies, or are you doing it with any kind of companies? I know it wasn't really focused in chimneys. You had done it kind of a different way. And talk about that real quick.
Yeah, it's anybody that has a GMB listing and
so that's Google My Business. Yeah,
Google My Business or Google Profile now.
Right.
Google Business Profile, GBP. And so I have chiropractors clients, I have asphalt paving clients, I have contractors, I do have a few chimney sweeps. I've got painter. Anybody watching this podcast, I can help you with your digital marketing. And I can get you the maps in the map pack, the top 3. I'm super good with that. I was good with that before I ever learned how to do it.
Well, good. Bart Ogden says stronger, better, faster always comes from a big hit. Couldn't agree more. Yeah. Johnny P says, great interview. Says you can give and give, and there will always be that one guy that takes and takes and complains that you don't give enough. Gosh, that's so true. And he thinks he can run his own off the knowledge you gave him. Been there. They have a name for it. That guy, a rat. Says I got in late. Where can I get your book, Chad? Tell him, Chad.
Amazon. And you're gonna have to post the link, Mark. There wasn't a shorter link.
There was. Oh, there's not. So guys, just go to, we tried to post a link and it's super long. So just go to Amazon, type in Chad Murray, you can probably type in Operation
Entrepreneur Freedom.
Operation Entrepreneur Freedom, and it'll come up. Buy the book, and then he also is going to work on the audio for that, and that will be coming soon. So dude, super good stuff. Anything you want to add before we close it out?
Hey, thanks. I want to thank the chimney industry. I know you do this all the time. I don't get the platform that you do, but it really has changed my life.
Yeah.
And coming out, that always sounds wrong, but
out.
coming out into the chimney world and letting people know and becoming the coach and starting to get known in the business and the industry, I really do have the mindset of helping as many people as I can. And I want to thank the industry because it has given me what I have. I mean, I didn't have a vehicle to do it any other way. And this chimney thing really, from starting from nothing, luckily, which is unfortunate, but luckily you could get started without any degrees at the time that we did it. And you could mess up a bunch of stuff and still make a ton of money and then learn how to do it later.
Yeah,
First time you get certified to do AC and stuff. So all that kind of stuff. So it was, for us in our era, it was nice to start off that way. So I want to thank the chimney world and for what they've given me.
That being said, we're glad you're glad you came out from under the rock and decided to give and help the industry. And I would definitely say that you've done that and proven that point. And, I say this a lot that, we as an industry need to do that and more people need to do it. And I think a lot of people do, but, and you're one of them that, at one point a lot of people say, well, I don't need this industry. I don't need them. They're over here and I'm over here. And you, at some point, even after you've been in the business a long time, said, you know what, I'm going to join that team and see what all these guys are doing. And you jumped in with both feet and everybody got to know you pretty quick. And I'm appreciative of that. You've helped a lot of people. And, that's the name of the game. So, well, thank you, man. Guys, support Chad. Please support Chad. It helps all of us, helps everybody. He's got a lot of wisdom. So thank you for joining us tonight, Chad. Appreciate it, man. All right, buddy. Thanks. All right, guys, we got another book out there for you to read. Support Chad. Tell other people about it. Gosh, it takes a lot to write a book. It takes a lot of guts. You put your life out there. You put yourself up for criticism, for critics. I never had so many critics until I wrote a book and until I was on a TV thing. And then here come the critics. And but you know what? I mean, hell with them. I mean, what are you going to? I mean, let's go. I mean, it takes guts to do it. So that's what you got to do it. So guys, thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you I was an hour late. I had to do some filming and you guys were supportive. In fact, I think we had more people on this time frame than we had before. So I may change the time frame. Let me know if you think it's a better time frame. That being said, thank you, Chad, for being out there with us. And guys, we'll do it again next week. Talk to you soon.